What's up, guys? Welcome to Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 4 review, Legacy. This is one of my favorites because we finally get to see Green Goblin introduced. And as we start off, Spidey's battling a bunch of crooks and he basically beats them easily. And as he's swinging off back to the Midtown High, he does this classic pose out of the Amazing Spider-Man, the final swing scene. The final pose that he does is just identical to the comic book one. It's just that his head is tilted to the left side a little, so it looks a little different. But as we fast forward, Peter's changing out of his Spidey suit, and he runs into class. He slips and knocks over a bunch of beakers and test tubes and all this stuff for science. And he's just running late. And after class, Mary Jane is joking around with him about the when she saw him on TV. Basically, when she saw him on TV fighting Doc Ock and Kraven, and she's joking around about saying that Kraven's TV show got canceled. So that's actually pretty hilarious. I find it funny. As we go later in the comic, where Harry Osborn is introduced, and he's going to the high school. And when Peter and MJ see him, they all get excited. They're excited that Harry's going to the high school. And then there's this funny scene with Flash, and he goes up and they have this little argument with Harry Osborn. Harry Osborn's like, "So did Flash come out of the closet yet?" And they all started laughing. It was so funny. Flash got all pissed off, but Harry invites them to his mansion to go to have dinner with his dad. And Peter's just grounded. He told him that he's grounded, so he doesn't want to go. And plus, Green Goblin, Norman Osborn knows who Spider-Man is, and that's Peter Parker, obviously. But anyways, as Peter's going home, Aunt May lets him go because his assistant, Norman Osborn's assistant, is there, and she says, she talks to Aunt May, and then Aunt May lets him go to Norman's house. And when Norman's he goes in a limo, and when he's at Norman's house, his assistant lets him go into his big dorm room, and when he walks in, it's completely dark, and all you can see is this TV screen that shows Spidey's battles with Doc Ock. And it is so creepy how they did Norman Osborn in this. They captured him so perfectly. In my opinion, better than the 616 Norman Osborn. It captures his creepiness better and his mysteriousness. And when he walks in, Norman is just basically saying that he created Peter. He created the spider. He created the serum. He created the spider bite. It was all an accident, basically, but he created the spider. And Norman Osborn injects himself with the Goblin serum, and it shows him transforming into the Goblin. And it basically looks something demonic, straight out of hell. He's all green, and he has this fire all around him, red eyes, horns. Looks demonic as hell. Think of Jackal, but 5 times more buff and scarier. Yeah. So as we head into it more, basically Norman has this disinfectant thing where it transforms his body back into Norman, and he basically tells Peter that you better give up this little Spider-Man gig, or I'll kill your Aunt May, I'll kill Mary Jane, and then I will beat you to hell, basically break every bone in your body, but not kill you. I won't kill you. No. I'll let you suffer, and then once you regain your health, I'll come back and kill you. So, pretty intimidating. Peter's just freaked the hell out. And, after that, Harry Osborn basically says, come on, let's go, guys. We're going to watch this documentary of the Osborns. And Peter gets all freaked out. He doesn't want to be there anymore. So he just leaves. He makes up some excuse. He goes back with Aunt May. We have this touching scene with Aunt May and Peter Parker, which I really liked, where Peter basically says that we have to stay away from the Osborns. They're not safe. They're not good. And Aunt May's just maybe you just need some sleep or something. They both hug. very emotional and heavy scene. And after that, Peter's just freaked out, like he can't even sleep. And Mary Jane calls him, and they're both talking. And all of a sudden, Gwen arrives at Peter's door for some reason, and she's starting to live with Peter for a while because her dad, Captain Stacy, like police officer in NYPD, he's always late at his job. Like he's always up late at his job, and the mom ran away with some dude. Like she's not the mother anymore, so she's gonna be living with Peter for a while. And then when when Peter tells Mary Jane about this, Mary Jane is a little jealous. Like she gets jealous or something because Gwen starts acting like lovey-dovey around Peter. But if you see my review on Volume 2, the same chick that asked Peter all these questions pops up in this volume, and she asks him all these questions again, saying, "So, what do you think of Norman Osborn, the same guy who knows you're Spider-Man?" And Peter gets all freaked out. He's like, "How do you know I'm Spider-Man?" And then Nick Fury pops up out of nowhere. This is when I was just like freaking out. I was just like, "Norman Osborn?" I was like, "Nick Fury." Nick Fury pops out of nowhere, and he talks to Peter, saying that, basically saying that they known that Peter was Spider-Man for a while, and they know about Norman Osborn. And Nick Fury tells Peter the whole backstory about Norman Osborn and how he created a super soldier serum. And he kind of like he made this serum and he injected it into a spider, and that's the same spider that beat Peter Parker. So Norman Osborn, that wasn't supposed to happen, so Norman Osborn started going nuts and inject himself with the Goblin serum. So they basically have their own sort of like DNA sequence. And Peter's like, "So, can't you just arrest Norman Osborn and tell him to get out of my life?" And Nick Fury says you can't do that because legally Osborns are off limits. Basically saying that you can't arrest Americans on American soil. So yeah, they don't have really any physical evidence besides Peter saying that he threatened his family, his Aunt May and Mary Jane and him. But there's nothing Nick Fury can ever do about it right now because there's not physical evidence. You're just saying it verbally. So, Nick Fury can't do anything about it, but he's going to keep an eye on Peter. Keep an eye on Norman Osborn and Peter, so he has his word. And as we fast forward a little bit more, as Peter's going back to the house, there we go, the limo's outside again with Norman Osborn's assistant, and Peter basically grabs Aunt May to the side and saying, "I don't think we should do this anymore. I don't want to go to Harry's house anymore. I'm kind of busy doing homework and stuff." And he gets away with it. The assistant is just like, "Okay, I understand. Maybe next time." And he gets away with it. And then Peter goes out in the middle of the night. Peter's not grounded anymore. So Spidey goes out, swings into action, runs into the Goblin. And the Goblin looks so demonic, as I said. He's got this purple coat. It's in the middle of the night, the gleaming red eyes. And basically Spidey threatens him, saying, "You better stay away from my family. I'm not going to be your little pawn, or I'm not going to do anything for you." And this makes Goblin very pissed off. And he just goes out and swings, grabs Mary Jane out of nowhere, and just basically jumps around and runs away with her. And as we head further, basically Spidey's chasing Goblin. And as he's chasing him, Goblin comes to a stop, and he does this sort of thing with the death of Gwen Stacy, but it's with Mary Jane, where he just throws her off a building, and Peter dives down and catches her with the webbing. I thought she was dead at first. I was just like, oh my god, because she wasn't waking up when he caught her. And then she finally woke up, everything was good. And out of nowhere, Nick Fury's crew with their helicopters pop out of nowhere, shoot the shit out of Goblin. Literally shooting him, but he has a healing factor, I guess. But anyways, the helicopters have freaking force fields, so it's kind of crazy. Anyways, Spidey swings in action. beating the shit out of Green Goblin, literally like pissed off, literally punching his face in, and it shows Goblin's face. There's like all this yellow thing that's supposed to be blood, but I guess that's Goblin blood. Instead of red, it's like orange all over his face. And that doesn't last for long, as Goblin just like regenerates, grabs Peter by the neck, and throws him off the bridge. And Peter like doesn't land securely, like he swings into like a side of a brick wall. But anyways, Goblin like runs off to his lab, and he injects himself with a bigger dosage, so he gets more muscular and bigger. Yeah, so as that happens, Peter shows up at the lab, fights Spidey again. Goblin gets a hold of Spidey, like starts choking him by the neck, like literally choking, like he's gonna kill him. Sooner or later, if Spidey doesn't do something, like his mask is half torn off, it's screwed up and everything, and Spidey gets his foot loose, and he kicks him in the face, webs him up. Then Nick Fury starts to open fire on Goblin, but Harry's in the background, so Spidey saves Harry, and then like big chunk of like the side of the building falls off the building, and Spidey just webs it. And then Goblin is about to charge at Spidey, and while that's happening, Harry Osborn grabs this big, like, I don't know, like side of like a window. It's sort of like glass shard, and he stabs it into the Goblin's back. And all of a sudden, Goblin just like disentracts, like transforms into Norman Osborn again. He's just laying there with a giant ass stick through his back. And Nick Fury, Harry Osborn finds out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and as that happens, when Harry finds out, he just passes out on the ground. And yeah, so I think it's pretty crazy that happens, and a lot of stuff happens this issue. And then Nick Fury and his crew show up, and they basically let Spidey go. They're gonna lock Norman up in Rikers Island. I think that's what it's called, Ravencroft. Yeah, so they're gonna lock him up, and as Peter's running off, he meets Mary Jane, and that's basically where it ends, where he basically meets Mary Jane again, and doesn't want to tell him anything about Harry Osborn. Like, he basically says that he passed out about what happened. Like, he doesn't tell her that he knows that he's Spider-Man. But that's the end of the volume. Pretty good. I liked it. Liked Norman Osborn's take on Green Goblin in the Ultimate Universe. Now, do I like Norman Osborn more? I'm going to go in a little discussion here. 616 Green Goblin versus Ultimate Green Goblin. Now, first of all, I just want to say, I'm going to be doing a lot of comparisons on these volumes, like the villains. But, alright, I'm just going to say straight up, I like Ultimate's Norman Osborn way better. Like, their take on it makes it sound more creepy and, you know, more suspicious and intimidating. Norman Osborn. Now, yeah, Norman Osborn Ultimate Universe is better, in my opinion. Now let's do Green Goblin. 616 Green Goblin versus Ultimate Green Goblin. Now the 616 Green Goblin is definitely more, so far as I've read, 616 Goblin is way more evil, just to say, because he's killed Gwen Stacy, his girlfriend. He's basically almost bombed the entire city, like almost knocked down an entire building, but thank God Spidey saved it from crashing. Yeah, he's done some pretty screwed up stuff. And then this new Goblin, I like the look. Alright, this is what I'm gonna say. I like the Ultimate Green Goblin look better, in my opinion. Yeah, so mainly because it looks more demonic looking, and like the fire, it just makes it look more menacing, which I like. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I like the Ultimate Green Goblin better, slightly. See you guys later on the next review.